What is up, everybody? My name is Justin French, covering music for those who care, and right now I'm taking a look at the 6th studio album from Taylor Swift entitled Reputation. So let me not waste any time into this review. Before I get started though, I do have to say I kind of am liking more of this kind of camera angle. Just because, number one, it kind of reminds me of the quickie videos that Rock Critic does, except he has more like live footage in the background instead of a black darkness feel. Because, well, Rock Critic is actually one of my YouTube influences. So, and there are tons more. Maybe I'll talk about it in another video soon. But anyways, I really like the style that he does for those videos. And number two, well, for one thing, you don't have to just see my hands move and get distracted. You can just hear my voice and we talk about this record. So anyways, like I said, let's get into this review. So here's my thoughts about Taylor Swift. For one thing, here's the thing. I'm a closeted Taylor Swift fan. I actually kind of enjoy her stuff, especially the country stuff. I think that her best album is probably Red. Red was probably I think that was her last country album that she did. And little known fact, before this album was even announced, there was some rumors going around that she was heading back for the Nashville country roots that she was known for about 10 years ago. And it's kind of funny seeing her as a full-blown pop star now, and then looking back 10 years earlier, and she's just this kind of shy, maybe not shy, but she was a very bubbly kind of artist. And, you know, now she's just talking about her breakups, or just something that's gone on in her life, pretty much. So, yeah, it's just kind of weird seeing her 10 years later now. So I'm kind of only imagining what 10 years will do to her next time. So anyways, let me talk about this album. And I forgot to mention that the thing I don't like about Taylor Swift is she's always got to be, I feel in my opinion, she's always got to be the center of attention. Especially with this release. She's gone through breakups with Calvin Harris, Tom Hiddleston. I'm sure there are like 11 other dudes that I could probably name off the top of my head, but I can't. So anyways, let's dive into the music, the track listing on this album. So, first single we got from this release was Look What You Made Me Do. You know, this song really made me do something. Hate it more every time I listen to it. I really hate the minimal kind of style instrumentation that runs in the background. And I swear to God, that chorus gets on my nerves. Ooh, look what you made me do. Look what you made me do. Look what you just made me do. Look what you just made me... Ah! Sorry. But that chorus was sampling Right Said Fred's I'm Too Sexy. And to be honest with you, I would have much rather listened to that track than this abomination. I feel like it wasn't a strong choice to lead your album with. Instead, I think she should have went with the next single I'm about to talk about, which is Ready For It. And I kind of like the dark feel that runs through that song. That's the one thing about that makes this album a little different from the other albums. This one is more kind of dark and minimal. And it kind of does bring the pop element that was from 1989 back into this. Except this one's a little more darker, in my opinion, and minimal in the instrumentation. And I really like that chorus that she sings in that track. And whenever that bass drop just unleashes, I'm a metalhead. It makes me just want to bang my head real hard. Sorry, I'm doing that right now. But anyways, another track that I did find a little interesting at first was the track In Game, which features Ed Sheeran and Future. But in my opinion, it's one of the most disappointing on the record. Honestly, I don't really like the flow of how Taylor sings this track. And I feel like Future's just there to be there. And I don't like the trap instrumentation in the background that runs through the track. I feel like she's just trying to follow that trend of trap music in pop. The only real saving grace of this track was actually Ed Sheeran's verse, and Ed Sheeran has been prone to rap in his songs. Look at examples like Don't, and the first track from his latest album, Divide, which was Eraser. And he's actually not that bad of a rapper. I actually enjoy Ed Sheeran as an artist. He's kind of different. Now, then we get a track like I Did Something Bad. And I really can't think of any puns to make because this track is legit bad. I don't like the instrumental, especially when it goes to that chorus. I hate the vocals that she does for that. And especially that breakdown. It just gets on my nerves. And I know that this track is written about Kimye. Yeah, I'm calling it Kimye because it's not just Kanye this time. And there are many jabs at them on this entire record, such as that track, Look What You Made Me Do, and track 13 from the second half of this record, which is This Is Why We Can't Have Nice Things. I had a feeling that whenever I looked at this track title, I knew it was going to be bad. And it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but I mean, it wasn't anything really special. And it does kind of reference Kimye a lot, especially on that line whenever she's talking about how you don't get friends to get you on the phone and brainwash you, which is kind of referring back to the controversy of the Famous song, where Kanye had written a line about Taylor Swift, and Kim had a Snapchat of Taylor actually agreeing to it, and Taylor going back to it, just being like, what? I didn't understand. So she tries to play the victim, pretty much. But anyways, I don't really find Don't Blame Me to be very interesting very much, just because I don't feel that the instrumentation really works, and it's kind of boring, in my opinion. Along with Delicate. I wasn't a big fan of Delicate. Just, here's the thing about the first half and the second half. It's very diverse, I guess, because the first half is more the image that Taylor's going for, which is more of this kind of dark and edgy, minimal R&B vocal feel. And the second half is just more of something that would more remind me of her earlier work. Well, not really early, but it kind of reminds me of the pop stuff that she was doing back in the day. Now, let's get into the second half. The first song on that is Gorgeous, which was, I think, a promotional single from the record. And I actually enjoyed majority of the track. It was very catchy. And I like the synths in the background kind of remind me back to 1989. Maybe it was an outtake or something from it, and she was saving it for this record. But the thing about that is, the one thing that kind of kills me is that little gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous thing that kind of opens the track. I wasn't a big fan of that. And then we get to 3 of the best tracks. Yes, 3 side by side tracks on the record, which are Getaway Car, King of My Heart, and Dancing with Our Hands Tied. I really like the instrumental that flows through Dancing with Our Hands Tied, which I think is probably my favorite track on this record. I like the vocal delivery on that and the lyric writing she has for it, because it kind of reminds me of maybe something I'd hear in an 80s synth rock feel. Getaway Car is more talking about trying to escape an already doomed relationship, and I really like that last part of the song. I think that kind of adds a bit to it. And King of My Heart is actually pretty catchy, and I like the chorus to that track and the breakdown especially. And then I'm going to end the track listing here with the track New Year's Day, which, looking back at the rest of the album, as it's more kind of trying to be dark, minimal, R&B, trap percussion, styling, pop, this one kind of ends more on a piano ballad that I would find more interesting in something of her earlier work. If it was in her, maybe, say, something from Speak Now or Red, I could understand where this track is coming from. But this is coming from Reputation, an album where it's trying to be dark and trying to be very minimal, and this track just ends on a piano ballad, and it just feels completely, especially the lyrics feel completely disjointed from the rest of the album. That and Call It What You Want, those tracks just feel, well, Call It What You Want has a pretty, it's got some bland instrumentation, but I mean the lyrics were okay, but it wasn't something that I was gonna like come back to immediately. But New Year's Day, it's just, I don't feel that it fits well on this record. So, but anyways, those are my opinions on how I feel about the certain tracks on the track listing. I'll be right back to give you my overall feel on this record. Okay, I'm back. So, let me talk about this. Now, before I get started, I know a lot of these Swifties are probably going to hate me for the stuff that I said about this record. Please just let me talk, okay? While I didn't think that this album was very cohesive, it's not terribly bad. It's not something that I'm going to put on my worst albums of the year list. It's really not. I mean, there are some aspects that are very enjoyable to this album, but to me, this is probably my least favorite album that she has done, in my opinion. Just because of how she's trying to be dark and edgy, and I don't feel that it's coming off very strong. And I really hope that the next release she puts out, she doesn't follow this suit. So anyways, those are my opinions on the record. I think the strongest I have to give it is probably maybe a decent 5, maybe a 5.5 out of 10. But anyways, this is just my opinion. So anyways, thanks for watching. If you would like to subscribe to my channel, you can click right over here to see what's going to be happening next, or just watch any of my other videos. If you'd like to watch another video that I just did, or anything like that, you can click right over here to watch that. So thank you all for watching, and hope to see you soon. Hope you enjoyed.